Welcome to Islam with Aslan, your channel for untold stories and rich histories from across the Islamic world. Today, we journey through over 1,300 years of Islamic heritage in one of the world's oldest civilizations, China. From Silk Road traders to imperial admirals, this is a story of faith, diplomacy, struggle, and resilience. If you're passionate about learning the deep and often hidden roots of Islam around the world, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Now, let's explore the fascinating history of Islam in China. Islam has existed in China for more than 1,300 years, a rich and complex history that blends faith, trade, migration, and imperial politics. It is a story that defies stereotypes and reveals how deeply Islam is woven into Chinese civilization. The beginning of Islam in China is traditionally dated to the mid-7th century, during the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE. According to Chinese Muslim historical sources, the religion was introduced in 651 CE, just a few decades after the death of the Prophet Muhammad. That year, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, a companion of the Prophet, is said to have led an official delegation to Chang'an, the Tang capital and one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Though the historical record is debated, Chinese chronicles do confirm that an Arab envoy from the Caliph Uthman arrived in Chang'an in the mid-7th century, marking the earliest diplomatic contact between Islamic and Chinese civilizations. The Tang emperors, known for their cosmopolitanism, allowed foreign traders and envoys to practice their religions. Muslim merchants from Arabia and Persia settled in port cities like Guangzhou, Quanzhou, and Yangzhou, marrying local women and forming the first Muslim communities. By the time of the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279, Muslims were entrenched in Chinese commerce and society. Arab and Persian traders dominated the Silk Road and Indian Ocean trade, bringing goods and Islamic culture deep into China. One significant figure during the Song period was Pu Shugeng, a wealthy Muslim merchant who served as the superintendent of maritime trade in Quanzhou, one of the largest ports in the world at the time. His influence illustrates how Muslims had become key players in Chinese economic life. The real turning point came during the Yuan Dynasty, 1371 to 1368, founded by Kublai Khan, the Mongol ruler and grandson of Genghis Khan. Under the Mongols, Islam flourished. Many Central Asian Muslims were brought into China by the Mongol administration as officials, scientists, astronomers, and military advisors. They were known as Hui, a term that would later evolve into Hui. The ethnic designation still used for Chinese Muslims today. One of the most important Muslim figures in Yuan China was Sayyid Ajall Shams al-Din Omar, a Persian administrator appointed as governor of Yunnan in 1274. Sayyid Ajall implemented Confucian-style governance, built schools and mosques, and helped integrate Islam into the Chinese cultural framework. His descendants played prominent roles in Chinese history for generations. By the end of the Yuan Dynasty, Islam was firmly rooted in China. The arrival of the Ming Dynasty in 1368, led by Emperor Hongwu, was accompanied by efforts to reassert Han Chinese rule and reduce foreign influence. However, Muslims continued to thrive under the Ming. The most famous Muslim of the Ming period was Zheng He, a court eunuch, diplomat, and admiral born in 1371 in Yunnan. Originally named Ma He, he was of Hui Muslim descent. Between 1405 and 1433, Zheng He led 7 massive naval expeditions, commanding fleets that reached as far as Southeast Asia, India, Arabia, and the east coast of Africa. These voyages were not missions of conquest, but rather of diplomacy and trade, and showcasing the Ming Dynasty's power and expanding its influence. Zheng He's Islamic faith coexisted with his service to a Confucian Buddhist court, illustrating the syncretic nature of Islam in China. Mosques were built in ports like Nanjing, where the Jingjue Mosque, founded during the Ming, still stands today. During the Ming and into the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1912, Islam became increasingly Sinified, meaning Chinese Muslims adopted Han customs, Confucian ethics, and the Chinese language in religious practice. Mosques were built to resemble Chinese temples, and Arabic script was often accompanied by Chinese calligraphy. A unique feature of Chinese Islam was the emergence of Jingtang Jiaoyu, an educational system that used Chinese characters to teach Arabic and Persian pronunciation. This method allowed students to learn Islamic texts using local linguistic tools. Throughout the Qing period, Muslim communities, especially the Hui, were spread across northern and western China. They were generally allowed to practice their faith, but tensions occasionally erupted. One of the most devastating was the Dungan Revolt, 1862 to 1877, a large-scale uprising of Hui Muslims and other ethnic groups in the northwest, primarily in Shanxi, Gansu, and Xinjiang, sparked by local disputes, economic hardship, and ethnic tension. The revolt was brutally suppressed by Qing forces. Estimates of the death toll range from 8 to 12 million people. Despite this, Muslim scholarship and spirituality continued to thrive. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, various Sufi orders such as the Naqshbandiyya became influential in Western China. These orders combined traditional Islamic theology with local Chinese cultural expressions. The fall of the Qing dynasty in 1911 and the emergence of the Republic of China brought new challenges and opportunities. Prominent Hui Muslim leaders like Ma Fuxiang and Ma Bufang played dual roles as military commanders and regional governors, particularly in Gansu and Ningxia. They maintained Islamic practices while aligning with nationalistic Chinese ideals. In 1939, the Chinese government under Chiang Kai-shek sent a delegation of Hui Muslims to the Middle East to promote anti-Japanese solidarity and to present China as a country that respected Islam. Following the communist victory in 1949, the People's Republic of China took a more centralized and secular approach. Under Mao Zedong, all religions, including Islam, were heavily regulated. During the Cultural Revolution, 1966 to 1976, mosques were destroyed, religious leaders persecuted, and Islamic texts burned. However, in the post-Mao reform era, beginning in 1978, China reopened to religion under state control. Mosques were rebuilt, Islamic education resumed, and the Hui, officially recognized as one of China's 56 ethnic groups, were granted certain protections in cities like Xi'an, Yinchuan, Linxia, and Kunming. Vibrant Muslim communities re-emerged. The Great Mosque of Xi'an, founded in the 8th century and still in use today, became a symbol of Islam's historic and peaceful presence in China. The situation is different in Xinjiang, home to the Uyghur Muslims, a Turkic-speaking people with their own culture and history. Uyghur Islam has roots stretching back to the 10th century, when the Karakhanid Khanate, a Turkic dynasty, embraced Islam. Over the centuries, Islamic learning and culture flourished in the region's cities like Kashgar, Hotan, and Turpan. However, in recent years, international attention has focused on the Chinese government's policies in Xinjiang. Since around 2017, reports have emerged of mass internment camps, surveillance, restrictions on a religious practice, and attempts at cultural assimilation targeting Uyghur Muslims. The Chinese government claims these measures are aimed at countering extremism and promoting stability, but critics argue that they amount to systemic repression of religious and cultural identity. Despite these challenges, Islam remains a living part of China's cultural fabric. Today, China is home to an estimated 20 to 25 million Muslims, primarily among the Hui, Uyghur, Kazakh, Dongxiang, and Kyrgyz ethnic groups. From the Tang Dynasty diplomats to the Ming Dynasty admirals, from the Yuan governors to modern scholars, Muslims have shaped and enriched Chinese civilization. Islam in China is not a foreign presence, it is a native strand, one of trade, translation, devotion, and resilience. It is the story of a faith that took root far from Mecca, yet grew into its own unique form, Chinese, Islamic, and enduring. Thanks for watching this episode of Islam with Aslan. If you found this deep dive into the history of Islam in China insightful, give it a thumbs up and drop a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts or any questions you may have. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next journey into Islamic history, culture, and identity across the globe. Until next time, peace be upon you.